ready. So, Commissioner Edwards.
Well, I'm not going to take a lot of time. We're already behind the 8 ball here. And I tell you what, I'm going to get right into business, but look forward to working with you. How about that? We've got a brand new commissioner here to work with as well.
That'll work great for me.
Okay. Go ahead, Romero. Can you take us into this?
You have some words, Commissioner?
No, good morning, Representative Griffey. I don't think we've had the pleasure to meet. My name is Carolina Mejia, and I'm the new commissioner for District 1. I'm actually in your district, in LD35 here in Olympia.
Nice. We're at in Olympia.
I live on Yelm Highway by Boulevard Park.
Excellent. Know it well. Congratulations. Welcome to the commission.
Thank you very much.
So maybe I can take the, I know that your time is valuable, so hopefully we can go through. The purpose of this meeting, Representative Griffey, is to walk you through some of the 2021 Thurston County legislative priorities. But before we get to that point, we'd like to express our appreciation for your support on the Senate bills related to the annexations. I know without your support, this bill wouldn't have gone through, so I really appreciate that support. It provides some tools as to how we're going to be managing potential annexations with the cities that we have in Thurston County, so thank you very much. So related to the 2021 legislative priorities from the county, I just walk you through briefly on this, and maybe Deborah can follow up with a paper copy to you. So, and then we'll, hopefully we'll leave some questions that you may have related to these proposals. One of the main items that we have been working for the past, and I believe due to the coronavirus emergency, is give us the opportunity to have a flexibility with the current funding that we have. And as you know, the Thurston County, as any other jurisdiction, had took some actions related to the impacts on the financial elements of the county in 2020, which some of the actions the commissioners took in 2020 has proven fruitful as we move in 2021 budget. We were in a biennial budget at some point, and the board decided just to go on an annual budget for 2021, just to make sure how all the economy falls through. And along the way, we see the need that perhaps finding flexibility, not necessarily additional revenue, may be helpful for the county. There is a House bill proposed, 1069. It does that, provides a little flexibility related to current revenues, I believe including the criminal justice account, as well as the real estate excise tax, and I believe it's the lodging tax. The lodging tax really does not have much of an impact to the county, but certainly the other two has an impact and provides some flexibility. This particular bill has a deadline, I believe, of December 31st, 2023. So there's a window that has a little bit of a bridge in a way. So if there's any support to that, that will be extremely helpful as we move forward, as the bill moves forward into the legislative process. But not to say that perhaps there is an additional need in the long term for finding flexibility the county is looking for. And perhaps, I don't know if there will be an opportunity to introduce another bill or a supplement, because what we're looking is related to the criminal justice regular levy, in making the veterans assistance levy and the development disability and mental health levy separate from the property tax levy. There's really is not an additional revenue. Separating the two levies give us the opportunity to have additional funding coming to the general fund, and that is where we have most of the pressures in the general fund. Also, I'd like to thank you for moving on to the next item. I'd like to thank you for supporting the judicial impact fees that has come to the county. You know, being here in what we call the capital county, we received many case filings from the state in civil cases. And it's just the way it is, just the location presents itself for the county to receive that many cases against or the state. Prior to 2017, we used to have a revenue that compensates for additional cases. I don't remember the reason at this time that contribution was suspended. So that created a big impact to the county. Just to give a perspective, we went through a study a couple of years ago that it was probably twofold the number of cases that we trial here in Thurston County related to like counties, such as Kitsap County, Yakima County, in terms of the population. And through that process, the legislature put this on as part of the base budget. And I really appreciate that support. And the reason that I'm mentioning this, because as you are going to be moving into the 2021 legislative session, there is going to be a lot of pressures as to how the legislative body is going to be finding ways to reduce the expenditures due to the lack of revenues. So we'll encourage us, since this is in the base budget, to continue to support this, because it's not an additional expenditures, it's included on the base budget. So I will appreciate if you continue to provide that support to the judicial impact fees. Just to give you an example of that, and I have used this example in many occasions when I speak about this item, when the lawsuit between the state and the contractor who was building the tunnel in Seattle, that case was tried here in Thurston County, and it took almost 2.5 months of a judge and all the infrastructure behind that to try that case here in Thurston County. It was a point in which they wanted to bring a piece of evidence here to introduce as part of the case, which makes me extremely nervous at that time. They wanted to bring a piece of pipe. It was, I don't know, it was 20, 30 feet wide, and I don't know how long. It put a pressure on the county at that time, because that would have closed the parking entirely, and it is entirely to access to the courthouse. In addition to that, we would have to take custody of that piece of evidence, and we'll have to find the storage. Finally, I think through the negotiations, they were just introduced, I believe, a picture of that, and it was a piece of pipe that was introduced as evidence. So just to give you a perspective, some of the cases that perhaps just because of the location of Thurston County, we tried those cases on a regular basis. Also, as part of a 2020 legislative priority, the legislature passed in 2020 House Bill 2405, and that is the C-PACER funding. In the C-PACER, the legislature included some grant funding allocated to the Department of Commerce. When the governor signed the budget early in 2020, and that was we're in the midst of the pandemic, he eliminated that funding of the C-PACER. The county is interested in finding as to a way to implement that program here in Thurston County, and it will be helpful if the legislature restore that funding to the Department of Commerce. It will allow us to continue with that program. Also, you may be aware that Thurston County, with the leadership of the Board of County Commissioners, obviously, we have been investing on removing fish barrier passages in the county. For the last 6 years, for the last 4 years, the Board of County Commissioners have allocated close to $2 million from the real estate excise tax to systematically start addressing some of the fish barriers here in the county. But that, obviously, that opportunities present some challenges. As you know, the state is required to start limiting some of the fish barriers on the state highways. But I believe at that point provides an opportunity to have a larger coordination with the state in terms of funding and how we can probably be finding a way to eliminate those fish barrier culverts at a basin level. Because if we replace one and at the state, and we replace one in the county, there's something in the middle that is going to be missing. And I believe at that point, it creates an opportunity for us to coordinate on the fish removal barriers. So if there's any opportunity for us to participate on that, certainly that will be part of the process. And lastly, the Thurston County will be supporting any type of climate change strategies that comes along depending on the bill that might be introduced into the legislation. And I think I took enough time, and I leave the rest of the time to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have a lot of questions, but I'm glad to hear you want to work on the estuary approach. I have been, over the last 4 years, pushing on changing our strategy at the state to take care of a whole stream system instead of doing one-off repairs that doesn't get us to the end goal. And I think the state's moving in that direction as well. So if you see any barriers to that approach, please get a hold of me. I want to get everybody together and do a long-range planning on how we do this. We need to, again, we were kind of, I think, shotgun approach to fixing it, and now I think we're getting way more strategic, and I want to make sure the state's a partner with you in that. So anytime you can get a hold of me or see any barriers to that partnership, please let me know. I'll try to get the state agencies refocused on that. But I think you'll see that you'll be pleasantly surprised that that's the direction they really want to go. And I think it's the right direction to go. I was happy to work with Deb on the bill that you were talking about. It was not easy for me to work on. I didn't want to mandate things that when it came to individual property, but I think we came to a solution that fixed the problem where most were happy. And I continue to work with Deb on those kind of issues on your behalf as well. When it comes to the environment, I'm not going to say I support all of them. I think I want to support good strategies that have proven results into the future. So it kind of concerns me that the Thurston County Board would support any. I think we have to be very, very targeted in how we approach, how we fix the environment, and it has to meet many metrics. Does the policy work? Does the policy send us backwards? Because a lot of times our environmental policy sends us backwards about 20 steps before we can go forward in increased fees and taxes and those sort of things. But I think that we can, through sequestration of carbon, Thurston County, Mason County, and Kitsap County sits and are very well situated to be carbon sinks for the entire state. But that also empowers our logging industry and economy. So I support anything we can do to clean our environment and go the right direction. I just want to be really, really focused on how we do that. And like I said, state mandates, big dictatorial top-down mandates, a lot of times it looks like we're doing good things, but it really sends us in a backwards direction, and I only want to move forward. I don't like taking the same ground, paying for the same ground twice. So I will be a partner with you on that, on the environment, but I really want to make sure that we are focused and we don't unduly impact those lower income levels in our solutions, and that our solutions are sequestering carbon and reducing carbon instead of putting control systems in that actually injure fuel economy, injure horsepower, those kind of things in our motor vehicles. But again, I will be there for you. And please, if you have bills that you're following that you think would help the citizens of Thurston County and the state of Washington, as you see them, get a hold of me, and we'll see if we can come to a consensus agreement on how to move forward. But your agenda, I think, is a good agenda. I think that some degree of flexibility right now while we recover from COVID is absolutely in order. We must come up with, I think, a sunset for those, because we really want to make sure the dedicated funds are going to the dedicated need. But I do agree that that if you work on a state or federal project, 20 to 30% of the project could go to complying with the rules for the project is unconscionable. I think we can streamline permitting for our essential projects. We can streamline the process where our grants are awarded instead of having to have 3 or 4 people working on grants. I'd like to see it where you have a person that does that, and it's not a really challenging job. So again, there's a lot of things the state does to complicate things for the counties, and I want to get those complications out of your way. Do you have any questions about, kind of how I'm handling and pushing ideas?
No, I tell you what, I've got an issue that I'd like to just run by you, being we've got a couple of minutes, and that is that we're going to have urban flight. It's coming. People are going to make a decision that they can work from home. They can live on the home place with grandma, maybe in an ADU. And so I'd like to be able to work with you to a degree on adjustments to the Growth Management Act that could allow citizens to enjoy the American dream, make home ownership more affordable, because we will never have affordable housing if we don't have adequate housing. And a lot of times there are regulatory roadblocks in the way. So just kind of wanted to point that out as maybe not something we took on initially. We're just having early discussions as the board is coming together, but that's kind of one of my issues that I want to work on. And just to let you know that we do coordinate a lot with the tribal entities now and the state when we're trying to do that. Rather than a shotgun approach on those culverts, is try to get our best bang for our buck. So I think we're all lined up there.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I think we are way more on the same page than I could ever say we're not. But I do believe that when we first started, the state's policy going forward on the culvert removals and the barrier removals was haphazard and cost a lot of money and didn't accomplish the stated goal. So I will continue to work with you on that. I have been a crusader. I hope Deb could support me to you on that. On growth management fixes for the rural communities, I actually worked on a bill that newly appointed Senator Shelley Short was able to get across the finish line, only have the governor veto it, which actually sent the rural communities kind of backwards on growth management. I think where my recommendation is for all of my commissions to be bold and exercise your constitutional authorities and your authorities under the GMA to zone appropriately, zone early, plan early, because the exodus is coming. Commissioner, you're absolutely right. Some of our bigger cities and bigger counties have made business activity there almost untenable. And if we set the 35th up as a position that can accept some overload or overflow, we are well placed. There are 3 national airports within 50 miles of each other. We have I-5 running through Thurston. We have Highway 3, which is a pretty good corridor, freight corridor running through Mason County, and Highway 101. We can work as a system together. Maybe in Mason County, they have a little land, or maybe you have a little land, but we have some overflow to make that work. I think working together with the neighboring counties is going to make the absorbing of that shift you're talking about, Commissioner, a lot easier. And I encourage you to be bold and to exercise your lawful authority under GMA to zone, and we'll see what happens. But being prepared prepared for this shift and this change is a really good step. And I think you've righteously identified something that is of vital concern to all the counties.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving us your time. And I don't know if we have other questions here for.
No, just a comment. I appreciate your perspective, Representative Griffey, related to the flexibility on the existing funds. I really do. I also appreciate your perspective on climate change. As a matter of clarification, I apologize if I came across the county is supporting any legislative actions related to climate change. I think we, as you stated, we have to be strategic. We have to see what is the value added to any particular legislation, because at the end of the day, it has to bring value to the citizens and the environment. So I truly appreciate that perspective, and certainly I appreciate your partnership, not just now in the future, but as well as in the past with Thurston County. Is much appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much. And I really didn't mean to point that out. I just wanted to make sure you kind of got a idea into my thinking and how I process stuff. So it wasn't meant as a rebuke or a slam of any way. I hope you truly know that. I just want to make sure that that you know I will be discerning, and sometimes I'll vote no because we didn't get where we needed to get. And I believe it would more negatively impact your and I's constituents than add positive impacts. So it's a taller order than I think sometimes some would admit. And we need to perfect bills and make them better. And it's through consensus, we will do a better job.
I totally agree. Thank you, sir.
Look forward to working with you.
Yes,
Commissioner
thank you.
Mejia?
No, so for me, it's, first of all, I want to thank you for, for the judicial impact fee funding. Those really do make a difference. Pierce County receives impact fees from Western State Hospitals. Snohomish receives impact fees for their public defense. And, it was pretty awful that they took it away for a little bit, but now that it's back, it really does help out the county and the whole state with what Superior Court is trying to do.
Well, now that we all figured out the Zoom platform, kinda, and the team, kinda, at least we know how to do it. It might be easier to get in front of one another again. Deb knows how to get a hold of me. You know how to get a hold of me. If we need to have more sit downs to work on strategy, to talk about bills, that sort of thing, let's get it done. Let's use this time. I would rather meet you all in person, but I can just roll out of bed now and come to a meeting. So it's not a big issue. I don't have the luxury of meeting in person. I'm actually sequestered, except for one day at the Capitol. So get a hold of me as soon as you can if you have issues.
Will do. Thank you so much for your time. Deborah, would you like to add anything?
No, thank you. But I would like to talk with you on another matter when you have some time. So I'll send you a message.
There's some time later this afternoon, or get a hold of Amber. We're doing a virtual test session again today. We're not 100% on this how session's going to work yet, so we're doing tests until we can get as close to 100% as we can.
Good luck with that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See ya.